Good morning, Facebook, wherever you are in the world. This is myself from Bridgetti. Hello, Bridgetti.
Hi, Stephen. Good evening from me, all the way in Cape Town, South Africa. How are you today?
I'm good. It's raining at the moment in Wiltshire in England, but tomorrow will be sunny. That's the outlook we've got to have. So to everybody who's watching us live, welcome to the show. Now, I'm just going to make sure that we are live, and it says that we are, so that's good, because we had an experience yesterday where it wasn't quite what we expected. And hello to everybody who's watching. Welcome to the show. And if you are watching, if you could please share the broadcast, then Bridgetti and I will be eternally grateful and will gain a wider audience. Now, we're changing the program slightly this week. This is Be Live in 5, but this is question and answers. And what we've done is to go through the questions that have been asked in the Belivers group during the week and pick the best of those questions, and we're going to answer them live now. If you've got your own questions, then please do add them, and we'll get to those as well, because live takes precedence over past questions. But the first question to kick us off, is someone was setting up talk show mode with the co-host and had a bad echo.
Ah, that's a common one, isn't it, Stephen?
It is. It is, because you get an echo because when you're actually listening to it and there's a feedback loop that starts, the best thing you can do is wear earphones, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. It's a common thing. You know, I was listening to a live this morning as well, and right throughout there was a sound problem. It was an echo, and the person speaking, the guest, wasn't wearing a headset. So there's a hint for you as a host. If you are hosting a show, please arrange with your guest in advance to have a headset ready, and rather use that to avoid any feedback issues, which will give you that echo.
Failing that, if you don't like wearing headphones, but that's got to be the preferred option, then turn the volume down so that you can just about hear it. My friend John's got his speakers placed, I don't know where, and he's been doing it for 83 weeks. So it is possible without, but if you have earplugs, then you're not going to get the echo. And the only thing is that only you can hear it. It doesn't go out on the broadcast normally, but have headphones. Right.
I do that sometimes, you know, because I don't always like wearing earphones. I've got fibromyalgia, and I find that the compression of the earphones hurt my ears. So when I have a bad case, I position my speaker further away so that it's not influenced by my microphone. It does help if that is something that you have a problem with as well.
Indeed, and welcome to everybody who's watching us live. If you are watching it live, then our call to action is, and we're not going to forget this week, is please share the broadcast so that more people can see it. Now, we're taking questions from the Belivers group, and if you're using belive.tv, the group is free to join, and you should be a member. And the next question which came up this week was this one.
Hi, Christine. And Dave, I think I saw Dave join as well.
Okay, and yes, so hello to David, and Bridgetti has just said hello to Christine, so welcome both. And one of the questions that came up this week was, is there a way to extract the transcription from a live video? Now, this was our friend Irene, who wanted to take a video and transcribe it and just get the bullet points out of it. And we say hello, and who are we going to guess is Be Live in 5 this week? Hello? Hello?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to guess it, April, but it could be Tina. But I'm going to go on balance. I'm going to think April. Hello, April. There was a question in the group this week: is there a way to extract the transcription of the video? And Basically, if you want a transcription of the video, you can upload it to YouTube and use their transcription services. Or, as an alternative, what I tried this week on the advice of a lady who interviewed the week before, is to use Google Docs.
And how did
And
that work for you? I
it
know
worked.
there's been a few people who recommended it and says it works very well. I haven't needed it yet. So, what was your result?
The result was quite good, actually. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but you could actually, if you were wanting to get bullet points to later put on the video, it was ideal because it does. And we've got confirmation
Oh,
now
it is
that we live in
April.
flight.
Hi, April.
And what is what a you've got it? If you've got a gremlin, Christine, can you just explain a bit more? Thank you. And we're taking questions from the Relive group this week. And the question was, is there a way to extract the transcription from the live video? And I tried this, and basically you open up a new Google document, you select voice typing, and then you put the video into Minicam, press play, and essentially select the microphone input on the Google Doc, and it will listen to the live replay and it will transcribe it as you go along. All right.
And the other thing I know someone also mentioned with going the Google Docs route is that you can actually choose English for the region in which you are, because then it'll pick up your accent.
All right.
Because that can be quite an issue if you're, depending which country you're in and what your accent is like. So a reminder, if you're using Google Docs, then be sure to choose the English for the country that you are in.
I will try that and see if it improves somewhat. It did, because whether we think about it, think we have or not, we all have accents, and I shall try it on Google English. Right, our next question is quite a simple and straightforward one. Does BeLive.tv work from Android?
Yes, it does. Well, let me clarify here. If you're initiating, then you can only initiate a BeLive broadcast from your desktop, whether that's a desktop or a laptop, same thing. But if you're wanting to join as a guest, you absolutely can join either from an Android or an iOS device or from your laptop or computer. So you have more options as a guest.
Yeah, so perfect answer. And the next question that came up this week was a recommended minimum upload speed in a broadcast. Now, we spoke about this last week.
We did.
And we said 1.5, but you said that you was working on less than that.
Yes, I actually was able to do a broadcast at 0.86. But here's the thing. If you're starting at 0.86 and you have a fluctuation of any kind, your broadcast will absolutely not work. So a minimum of 1.5 in the upload is definitely recommended, because if you do have a slight fluctuation, you have a much better chance of having a successful broadcast than if you started at the lower end. So the recommended upload speed is definitely a minimum of 1.5. I would recommend that.
And I agree, because if you don't do that, then what will happen is that the picture will become fuzzy, your voice will go in and out, and that doesn't make for a pleasant experience for anybody who's watching the show. So minimum of 1.5. Use speedtest.net to check your speed first, and if it comes up with 1.5 or higher, then you can host the broadcast, you can guest on a broadcast, no problems at all.
Stephen, on that same point of broadcast cutting out, a recommendation to people: if you are having a problem, if your guest is having a problem, ask them to refresh their browser. It's not going to terminate the broadcast. The broadcast will continue. Also, if you as a host are having a problem and you need to refresh, it's not going to end the broadcast if you refresh. However, in order to make it easier for your audience and for the broadcast to continue effortlessly, choose a time when your guest is speaking, preferably if you have a guest. Have your guest on screen, take yourself out, refresh the screen, and you can come back in. The only time the broadcast will end is when you actually broadcast. Got a double protection layer. You have to click twice to end the broadcast. So refreshing is not going to end your broadcast.
Which is lucky, really, because if there's anything wrong, then the show can continue, which is all good news. Right, now a two-part question next, and whilst you right, okay, can a host on computer be joined by two guests on cell phone? Well, the answer to that one is yes. A guest can be joined on. A guest can come in via iPhone or Android and join the show successfully. And obviously, it is conditional on their phone signal being a good signal. If their signal varies, then their picture quality and sound will vary, won't they?
Right. I apologize. My batteries ran out on my Bluetooth headset, and I had to switch them around. So I lost you for a moment.
Oh, right. Okay. I was just saying that the question is, can a host on computer be joined by two guests on their phone? And
Yes.
I said yes.
Yes.
Because then the next question that came after that was, is it possible a third guest can join in 20 minutes later? And with BeLive.tv, a guest can join in anytime, can't they?
Anytime. Yes, absolutely. So you can, if you're, especially if you're using the talk show, this question I seem to have comes up quite often. So if you're wanting a guest to come on at any point in time, use the talk show feature, because you can start the broadcast without having to have a guest in the seat with you. And you can bring on a guest either planned or unplanned at any point after you've started the broadcast.
That's true. And you can switch people around and you can take people on and off screen. Even the producer of the show, just to prove the point, the producer of the show can go off screen, and I'll bring up the next question and then I'll go off screen. Right, and the next question is one we get quite often as well. Anyone know when I go live on BeLive.tv why it's streaming in private?
Let me read that again. Anyone know when I go live on TV why it's streaming in private on profile? Oh, because your broadcast will take on the settings that you have for your profile. So if your profile is set to private, or whatever, if it's set to a set audience, your broadcast will take on that setting. If your group or your page, for example, is secret, that broadcast will only be able to be seen within that group, whether it's secret or closed. So the only time it will be made public is if your group is public or your page is public or your profile is set to public.
And there's also another factor involved on the application itself. When BeLive.tv installs itself, it installs itself with only rights to broadcast privately. So you've got to go and change that. It's set to friends by default. If you want it public, then you need to go into Facebook apps and change that setting to public just the once. And if you go onto YouTube and search privacy settings, you'll find many a YouTube video which will show you quickly how to do that. But it's just very simple to correct, and you just have to do it once. Right, and the next question, what is the best way to show the audience a video clip? And there isn't
Well,
really. Go-
well, if you want to show a video clip, you would have to share your screen. It's the only way that you can share a video clip is if you're using the screen share option, and then you can choose. You can either choose to show your entire desktop, or you can choose to show the application in which the video clip is being played. And your safest bet is to choose the application, because that way, if you're showing your desktop, you run the risk of a message or something popping up on your screen. And that could end up being embarrassing because you have no idea what that message may be. So
True.
the safest way to deal with that is to rather share the application only. That way, there's not going to be any nasty surprises. And I think that was one of the great things that was done by BeLive TV, is to give us that option to only show the application.
I totally agree, because you run the great risk, because you've got to remember that this is not just live, this is being recorded, and people could slow down the recording and analyze your desktop at their leisure, and you don't want to show anything you don't want the public to see. So be wary of that. And the other thing is that if you do show a video clip using your desktop, people will not hear the sound. So you've got to bear that in mind. If you want to play a video clip with sound, then you would have to use Manycam, bring the video into Manycam and use Manycam as your camera, and then people would hear the sound.
Or the other thing is if you've got an external microphone, the sound can also be played through the microphone. The quality is not great,
Right.
but it does work.
Okay, right. So we've got several ways of doing that, which is why we're doing the show together, because we share the expertise. Right. Just a reminder that if you want to talk about your business, then Be Live in 5 Interviews is Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can come on camera and talk about your business, and we'll promote it. Simple as that. If you're using Be Live TV, then we want to talk to you. Right.
I've got one more great hint that'll help broadcasters. Someone asked the other day, or said that they had an embarrassing experience bringing on a guest from the audience, and the person didn't have a shirt on. And
okay.
how do you deal with that kind of situation? Well, I like what Rachel does. She asks people before she brings them up, are you camera ready? And that should give a good indication that they need to be presentable. So it's a good question to ask before you bring up people, so there's no surprises. Ask them, are you camera ready?
Good point. And you consider people in the lobby before you bring them on. They can hear you. So if you actually say, are you camera ready? Then, because they do get a 3-second warning, but that's not enough if you need to put your shirt on. So bear that in mind. Right. Okay. Now, you'll notice today that we've got no frame around. So the question comes up, can someone help me create my own frame for my Be Live show? Now, this was a great mystery to me, because I'm graphically challenged. I don't know one end of a logo from another, and I couldn't create my own until Antonio suggested a way to do it. And I'm going to post a link now for everybody, and it will come up on Facebook in a second. And just a second, this is live. I just want to copy the link, but I want to copy it correctly. Now, the link is to a YouTube video, which was created by Antonio. The video itself is in Spanish with English subtitles.
But very, very easy to follow, isn't it, Stephen?
It is. He's done a great job. I mean, he basically didn't know anything about this at all. And simply, you go into Google Docs, press create, and it brings up the frame. and you just put the text and the graphics you want within that frame, save it, and then you upload it to Be Live. That's it.
So the big key here is that your frame needs to be transparent. In other words, you need to be able to see through the frame. And here's your checklist. When you're uploading, when you're creating your show, you have the option to put in your frame, and you get a preview of what it looks like. So in that preview, when you load your frame and you cannot see the image behind it that was previously there, you know you've got a problem. Your frame is then not transparent. Once your frame is in the preview, you must be able to see the preview picture. So that's the key to making sure that your frame image is in fact transparent. Otherwise, you'll be blocked from the view of anyone watching the show. And that's not what we want, is it?
No, definitely not. I mean, when I started doing the frames, I had several occasions when that happened. With Antonio's method, then it's easy and straightforward because you start off with a transparent frame and you're actually adding to it. So you can add to the top the title, and you can add to the bottom your graphics, your lower third. You can design it yourself. Once you've done that, just download the graphic file, upload it to BeLive.tv, and it will stay there forever. And you can do one for every show that you've got, really. So one of my jobs for this weekend is to actually create some frames for the shows, and then we'll try them out. Now, as I say, we're actually doing a Q&A question session today and taking questions that have been asked in the Belivers group. And the next question that came up was, I'm just going to try and find it. Can guests share their screen? And
no, they can't.
Indeed. The host can share the screen, can't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you can upload to Facebook an album, which you can keep private, any photographs you want to use on the show. And that album then can be brought up on the screen, and effectively you can cycle through the album. I'm just trying to find one here. Okay, I'll go back and select that photo. So I'm going to bring the photo up on screen, and you can see it on the side of the screen there. And I can now go through each of the individual slides and talk against them. So rather than using PowerPoint, you upload the photographs into an album on your business page or on your personal profile, and then you can flick through them backwards and forwards, and then when you finish with them, you just quite simply take them off screen. So it's a PowerPoint replacement, and it's built into BeLive.tv, and it's in the face-to-face and in the talk show, and it's very handy if you want to talk against a series of slides. Now, just going back to that, at the moment, you can only, if I go to the slides, there is no way you're going to read that. So if I go back a bit, then, but if I go full screen, you can now see the graphic full screen. And what I would suggest is that if you are displaying graphics, you ask your viewers to go full screen as well, because then they've got a better picture of what you're actually talking about. When you're displaying photos or slides, please remember to keep yourself on camera, because if you don't, if you're in the lobby and the slides are on screen, then whatever you say will not be heard. But it is simple and straightforward, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and right, now this is an interesting one. I'm going to read it because I only copied part of it, and hopefully it will show now. I have several students in the UK and Melbourne, Australia, who do not have live as a choice on their desktops. In other words, if they're on Facebook, They don't have a live button on their personal profile yet or on any business pages they've got, so they cannot go live using native Facebook.
So it's not been rolled out to them yet.
It's not been rolled out. It's not reached Australia. Well, it's reached some parts of Australia, we know, but not all parts. So, question was, can they go live on BeLive.tv? And the answer is that BeLive.tv can go live on any page, irrespective of whether you can go live natively. And that means that BeLive can reach places that Facebook doesn't reach. So if you're not allowed to broadcast on Facebook Live at the moment, just get a copy of BeLive.tv. Free version will allow you to broadcast twice a week for 20 minutes, and you can do it that way.
Right. So that's an excellent advantage at the moment for people who don't yet have Facebook Live rolled out to them.
Indeed. And now, this is a curious one. When you finish your 14-day trial of BeLive.tv, you can buy the upgrade, and we'll post a link later. But when you go there, when you go to pay, you pay via PayPal, but you'll find that the PayPal screen, unless you've got your settings right, is in Hebrew. Now, I know several people who sort of seen the screen in Hebrew and thought, oh no, I'm not pressing anything on this page because I don't understand the language. So we can confirm that when you do press the link to upgrade, you go to the PayPal page. It is the real PayPal page, but it is in Hebrew. But there is a button somewhere apparently where you can actually change your settings, so it will be in English. But I had to persuade a couple of people that if they press the button again, it then switches over into English when they do pay. It's just the introductory screen that is in Hebrew, because BeLive.tv are based in Haifa in Israel. So if you upgrade your account, then ignore the fact that it's in Hebrew. BeLive.tv are aware of it, and I have no doubt that it will change. Now, if you are watching now, welcome to the show. This is BeLive in 5 Q&A with myself and Bridgetti, and we meet here at noon every Friday. Sorry, 1 p.m. every Friday. I'm getting the clocks wrong now. It is 1 p.m. Because it's 6 p.m. in the UK, and in South Africa it's
7 p.m.
7 p.m. So we're joining two continents. We're joining South Africa and the UK, and our viewers are in America. So we're joining 3 continents. And to everybody who's watching, thank you. If you're enjoying the show, please share. If you've got questions, please type them in. We'll be able to see them. And we've gone through a series of questions. And if you watch the replay, you'll find out that there is a tutorial for BeLive.tv. And I'm just going to place the link to the tutorial, which is free. It's a course on Udemy by Tina and myself.
Hi, Antonio. Stephen, while you putting the link while you're putting the link in the chat, perhaps something that's useful to you as a broadcaster that you could share with your guests. I was asking Stephen this before we started our broadcast, and I've now figured it out. So when you are a guest on a show, it sometimes is hard to tell what portion of your camera is being shown on screen. So we've now figured it out. When you look at your screen and you are a guest, you obviously don't see the layout the way that the host would see the layout, and that was on my wish list. But for now, you can actually tell what part of your picture is being shown on camera. So right now, from my view, I'm seeing the portrait screen, but this middle section has got the light, and that is an indicator to me of what portion of my view is on the visible screen. And as Stephen changes the layouts, I can see the light widening when I'm on full screen. And when we're sharing the screen in split screen, the light will narrow. And when he was showing the picture earlier, when there was 3 of us on screen, the light went even narrower. So that is an indicator of how the layout is on the screen. So that'll be my cue. I did feel a little bit lost before when I was a guest because you're not sure what is being shown on camera.
Yeah.
But this is now a great indicator of what can be seen by viewers.
It helps because then you're not trying to sort of work out where you are.
Correct.
But
I feel less disorientated.
Well, I agree with you that it would be beneficial to everyone if a guest on the show could actually see the output screen, which I can see top right. I know exactly what's on screen. And if you could see that, it wouldn't be as overwhelming as seeing me big screen. Yeah, I agree. Antonio agrees with us. So we've got 3 votes here. And we're all saying that it would be most helpful if this little screen top right, which is the preview, was available to everybody. So there we are. Right, so we've answered the question, is there a tutorial somewhere? And yes, there is, and it's free, and it's got 1,265 students at the moment. And thank you from Christine.
Yes, that's exactly why I raised it and why I wanted to mention this, because whenever I was a guest, I realized how disorientating it is for my guests when I have them on my show. So it's been great for me to have this experience and now being able to relate what it's like.
Yep, indeed. So we've discussed a way to transcribe your videos. All these questions were asked in Belivers over the last week. So how can you transcribe your videos? And there's an answer in the Belivers group to that using Google. And then we discussed somebody who was setting up and had a bad echo, and we gave advice on that. So that's in the show too. Then we discussed, does Belive work from Android? And I'm going to bring these more slowly so that you can read them, Bridgetti, and we'll share the load.
Yes, absolutely. We went through the issue of whether or not you can use an Android phone to join the show, and the answer to that was absolutely yes. Android, iOS, and desktop or laptop will work.
Right. And then we discussed the recommended upload speed, and comment from Christine.
Bye, Christine. Thanks for joining. Hi, Bob.
I got that the wrong way. So goodbye, Christine. Thank you for joining us. And hello, Bob. Nice to see you. Right. Okay. If you are watching live, if you have any questions, then please ask. We're happy to answer those. And
Stephen, I think let's just mention the upload speed again, because that's a question that does come up very often. Okay. So the recommended upload speed is 1.5, and that allows for you to carry on with your broadcast should your speed drop for whatever reason. You can broadcast with a lower upload speed, but it's not worth the risk. Rather have 1.5 as your minimum starting speed to allow for any kind of fluctuations. The other thing with regards to speed is when your guest is in an environment where they're connecting via Wi-Fi, please be aware that you run the risk of disruptions, because that speed is not guaranteed. And especially in a Wi-Fi situation, the upload speed can be rather tricky. So if you're doing a broadcast where you really want to ensure that things are going to run smoothly, it's preferable not to rely on Wi-Fi.
And I'll come back now. We've gone 2 on screen now. It is. If you're wired, it's a lot better. And we also answered the next question. Interesting question was, can a host on a computer be joined by 2 guests on cell phone? So the person recognizes you've got to host the show from desktop, either from a Windows PC or a Mac, using the Chrome browser. Those are the recommendations. But then anybody can join, can't they?
Right. You just mentioned something interesting as well, Stephen, and something we overlook sometimes. And, when you're broadcasting, you may forget to remind your guest that they need to be on the Chrome browser. That's happened so many times where the guest cannot join and you do troubleshooting of all kinds. And lo and behold, it turns out that it's something as simple as the guest is not using the Chrome browser. And often this happens when someone is using a MacBook and they may have a preference to use Safari. In fact, it could happen on a Windows environment as well, isn't there? Because you've got Firefox and all kinds of other browsers as well. So it's good to remind your guest, if they're joining on their computer, to make sure that they are using the Chrome browser.
And if they're joining on their Android or iPhones, they can download the BeLive.tv app. The way you do that is tell your guests, first of all, to download the app, and then you send them the link. If they then click on the link, they come straight into your show. So download the app.
Right. So you want to do that in advance as well, isn't it, Stephen? You don't want to wait until the broadcast to let your guests know that they need to download the app. So do that in advance.
Good thinking, because what the thing that we find most is that a lot of the questions that we get are because people don't check things out before they go live. And both Bridgetti and I said, if you get together 15-20 minutes before and get your guests comfortable on camera, then you'll have a better start to the show and you won't be panicking last minute. As Bridgetti just said, if they download the app way before that and get used to it, then that's all for the good as well. Anything you can do in advance of a show will help when you go live, because you don't want to panic at the last minute, which we don't. Then the next thing we went on to is the PayPal account. And we said that if you see a Hebrew screen, that is hopefully temporary, it's okay to click the button because you are on PayPal, and the rest will come up in your own language. And then we covered the question of what anyone know why when I go live on BeLive.tv, it's streaming in a private mode on your profile. Well, your profile for posts has 3 settings: public, private, or public, friends only, and just me. And you've got to set that up, and you'll find videos on YouTube which will help. And you can decide post by post whether something is going to be private. If you're using BeLive for the first time and you just want to test it out, set the post to me only. That makes sense, doesn't it? Because then only you can see it.
Right. So make sure that setting is correct before you start your broadcast, because you can't change that after.
And a good question from Bob. What percentage of people are using Wi-Fi versus direct wire? Any thoughts, Bridgetti?
I would say the larger percentage of people are using Wi-Fi as opposed to direct wire. People who broadcast and those who've been doing it for a while understand that it's better to have a direct wire, so they will do that. And generally you will find The people that are not using the direct wire are those who are new to Be Live TV, and who are unaware that you will have a better broadcast if you have a wired connection as opposed to Wi-Fi. Also, be aware that the Wi-Fi you're getting at home usually would be better than the Wi-Fi you would get in a shopping mall, for example, because remember that signal is shared by an unknown number of people. And so your speed definitely is slower if you're out in a mall or a complex of sorts than it would be at home.
And the next question that we looked at, or one of the questions we looked at, is what is the best way to show the audience a video clip? And we've got two ways. Bridgetti, if you go through yours first, and then I'll do mine.
Yes, if you have to share your screen in order to show a video clip. Now, there's the matter of the sound. For now, the sound is not going to be playing from your computer if you are doing a screen share. So the one way around that is to ensure that your microphone can be used. The sound will play through the microphone. The quality will not be great, but it can be heard. I've done this on several occasions successfully, so I know that that method does work. Stephen uses a different method.
Well, this is it. I mean, we all find ways that work for us. And basically, the way that I would do it is, instead of coming direct to screen with your camera, is to come to screen using Manycam. So you use Manycam as your camera. You set that up first and test it. And once you've got Manycam as your main camera on the broadcast, you can then upload a video from your hard drive into Manycam and just play it. And when you play it in Manycam, you then switch over the scene from one scene to another, you on screen to the video on screen. When the video is on screen, then whoever's watching will hear the sound. Now, there is a free version of Manycam, which will allow you to do that. So I can't see any reason why you wouldn't download Manycam, set it up for your camera, and then use the extra scene to actually play movies if you want to. But a word of warning on this, which I think we agree on, Bridgetti, and that's copyright.
Yes, absolutely. You want to ensure that you're not breaching any copyright, because you can land up in Facebook jail for doing that. A particular word of caution is when it comes to music. Be sure that you are not using copyrighted music. If you're using an intro or an outro with a jingle of sorts, make sure that you have the right to use that jingle, whatever it may be. It's not worth the risk. Rather check before you go live.
Well, we know people who have had their Facebook account suspended and in certain cases removed because they've played musical tracks in live broadcasts. And basically, the first thing that happens if you do that, if you play music during a broadcast, even if it's on a radio in the background, if the censors can pick it up, what will happen is your video will disappear. And you'll say to yourself, why did that video disappear? I was playing music. Now, the situation there is that that is your problem, because the music was in the background, censors picked it up, and they've ditched the video. You have no right of appeal. You can't get that video back. So for the sake of a broadcast, do not play copyrighted, or make sure that people cannot hear copyrighted music. And April is agreeing that Facebook Live is very strict with music, and it's a fact of life. Now, if, however, you have a live band in your broadcasting studio and that live band play music, you're okay, because the music is live and Facebook will allow it. And I know several people who go out on a Friday night to watch a band in their local pub or club or concert hall, and they stream from there with the band knowing that they're being streamed, and their video stays up. So That's one way around it. And the story was told by my good friend, David Burrows. So there you are. Credit to David for that. And he and I look forward to broadcasting in September. Right. This is how we pick up knowledge, David. This is networking. This is where we share knowledge and all right. So just to let you know what we're doing this week, this is Be Live in 5 Q&A. If you want to go live on Facebook, then Be Live in 5 is here to help you. Use BeLive.tv to do that. And before we go, Bridgetti, would you just do an explanation of what Be Live in 5 is?
Yes, Be Live in 5 is a free course that is offered to everyone who would like to use the system. We have, I think we're 8 mentors. I hope I'm correct.
Yes, 8.
There are 8 mentors who will take the time to tutor you. First of all, Tina and Stephen have done a Udemy course which you can go through free of charge. There's no charge for that. Go through the course. Once you've done the course, you can book some time with any one of the 8 mentors who are available. And what we will do is we will literally hold your hand, go through the process with you, help you go live for the very first time. We will make sure that you are comfortable. There's no cost involved for doing this. You can simply book the time with us. We are in different time zones, so that shouldn't be a problem at all. Book a time and then we'll go online with you and we'll help you go live.
Indeed, and we just enjoy doing so, and it is an official BeLive.tv program and everyone can join. Now, a question from Bob, which I'll read out because it's a long question. Do you know if there's any doodads or boosters for mobile using Wi-Fi, as the world is so mobile, or is anything in the works? Right. Now, okay. We're going to be back next week.
I don't think we've got a list of boosters, but there are boosters available that one can acquire.
Right. Okay. If you pop back next week, Bob, we'll research the answer and we'll give you a more definitive answer. Or if we find it sooner than that, we'll post it in the thread here. And David says, proud to be a mentor for Be Live. I welcome anyone to connect with me directly on Facebook. And right, okay, just to show that we're international, David is actually in Canada. Tina, April are in the States, along with David Vaughan. Bridgetti is in South Africa. I'm in the UK, so we span time zones, as Bridgetti said, and we're very happy. Just get in contact with David or Bridgetti or myself, and we'll help you. If you can't find us, then just type Be Live in 5 into Facebook, or even better, we had privilege today.
It's a pleasure, Bob.
And it is a pleasure. We had the privilege today of being on an announcement by BeLive.tv themselves in the BeLivers group, and there's a link to our student group, which everybody's welcome to join if you want to learn about BeLive, and a link to the Udemy course as well. So this is Stephen in Wiltshire signing off and saying thank you for joining us, and Bridgetti, it's over to you to thank everybody, and then we'll see you all again next week.
Thank you for joining us. It's always lovely spending time with you, Stephen, and thank you very much to everyone who joined us today, and we look forward to serving you the same time next week on Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and goodbye from me in Cape Town.
And goodbye from Wiltshire in England. We'll see you next week.